Good morning, educators. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the first Texas OnCourse monthly webinar of the 2019-2020 school year. We're kicking off our series with the topic of college applications, and we have some very helpful updates on the two systems that are widely used by our students in Texas, from ApplyTexas and the Common Application. As you all know, things change each year with each new application cycle. College applications is a highly requested topic for fall semester, and today we have over 50 people registered for our webinar. For all of our attendees, you will receive a follow-up email with highlights from the webinar and also a link to access our recording. We also post all of our webinar content on our website, which is texasoncourse.org. So feel free to share our webinar and any additional resources with your colleagues that will find the information helpful when working with students and families on college and career planning. Just to quickly orient you, if you have registered, you're already on Zoom and you should be able to see my screen. Here's just a few tools to change your settings and make sure you can actively participate during the webinar. Keep in mind all of our attendees are muted to ensure that you can hear each guest speaker and the information that they want to share. And then we'll save time at the end for any questions that come up during the webinar, and you can add those into the chat box. We'll make sure to cover all questions. So just real quickly, this is where you can do an audio check on your Zoom screen. This is where you can raise your hand and lower your hand as a feature. And then the Q&A, this box right here is where we'll do questions at the end, and you'll see it on a slide. And Rose Fretza from our OnCourse team is going to talk about the questions out loud, so you'll be able to hear those. And you can input questions there, and then change your screen size on the top right corner. So most of the educators that join our webinars are familiar with OnCourse, but if you are new to our resources, we can tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Texas OnCourse is a state-funded initiative designed to improve college and career advising and readiness across the state. We provide free college and career and military readiness resources for educators, students, and families that can help your campus and district. As the state's definitive source for college and career advising, our ultimate goal is to equip middle and high school students for post-secondary success. Everything we offer works toward this ultimate vision, which is that all students, no matter where they come from or where they're headed, have a plan for what's next. We have all different kinds of free college and career resources, and our academy is widely used across the state for professional educator development. So today, Texas OnCourse has over 12,000 educators that are registered and actively using our academy. Those educators are represented in over 3,000 schools and in over 900 districts. So in the last year, we've seen some exponential growth and have heard great feedback from counselors and advisors in the field. So just to quickly go over our agenda for the webinar, we'll have our guest speakers and our team do quick introductions. And then Samantha Gonzalez from our content team is going to go over some of our academy resources from post-secondary pathways. And then David Muck is going to review some changes to ApplyTexas. Meredith Lombardi is joining us from the Common App, and they have refreshed their resources and website, so it looks a little bit different. And then we have Will Collins from Kingwood High School and Humble ISD talk a little bit about college applications best practices. And we have some things that we'll share and provide some time for question and answer. Just to quickly introduce myself, my name's Laura Guggen. I'm Senior Partnerships Coordinator here at Texas OnCourse. My background is in K-12 counseling and advising, and I work real closely with our school districts and their implementation of our middle school resources, as well as our leader fellows and counselors that are using the academy. Samantha?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Samantha Gonzalez. I'm a program coordinator here at Texas OnCourse. My background is in college access and success, and with Texas OnCourse, I primarily work with the content that you see in the academy and any high school related content.
Good morning. I'm David Muck. I'm a principal software developer analyst at the University of Texas at Austin. And I've been working on developing and maintaining ApplyTexas for UT for the last 10 years or so.
Hi, everyone. This is Meredith Lombardi at the Common App. I am the Associate Director for Outreach and Education here. And I've been here a little over 3 years, and prior to that was a high school counselor with DC Public Schools and also outside of Atlanta.
Good morning. My name is Will Collins. I'm a high school counselor at Kingwood High School. This is my 7th year as a school counselor, 4 at the high school level, 2 at the middle school level, and I did 3 years at a not-for-profit in Chicago that worked with post-secondary readiness.
Perfect. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Today's topic of college applications can be found within the post-secondary pathways in our academy. And learning modules within our post-secondary pathways fall under the admission and application process, where users can earn a badge by completing 8 continuing professional education credits that are approved by TEA. So here's an example of the different badges that can be earned within our post-secondary pathways content area. As I mentioned today, our focus is on the admission and application process. We also have badges in other areas, entrance and placement exams, so including the SAT and ACT information. And we also have badges in post-secondary pathways foundational knowledge and also post-secondary research. So the Academy was recently updated this past summer and looks a little different if you have not signed in recently. And here's an example of our layout in the dashboard. So once the learner has signed in and wants to check their progress and explore our modules, it's going to look like this. It's a little bit different. And once you've earned badges within the Academy, users can access certificates and their badge completion in many different areas and keep track of and also print their progress. Many districts right now are using this tool to show and track professional development hours. Samantha?
Good morning again. So one of our goals at Texas OnCourse is to ensure that the Academy includes infographics that you as counselors and advisors can download, print, and immediately use in your advising sessions with students and families. So the resources that we would like to highlight today are the definitions of admission options, Common App versus ApplyTexas, and then Common App follow-up. So this first infographic we would like to highlight is the definitions of admission options in higher education. This infographic highlights the definitions of admission options so students are quickly able to identify which college admission process best suits them. Using this infographic can help prevent confusion around binding and non-binding admission decisions. For instance, with this infographic, students are able to identify the difference between regular decision and early decision, and also identify their responsibility for any restrictive plans. So this next infographic is the Common App versus ApplyTexas. This infographic isn't to show students that one application system is necessarily better than the other, but rather to evaluate the characteristics of each application system to determine which best fits their needs. A student may want to apply to an institution outside of Texas and may find that the Common App system suits their needs more based on this infographic. The last resource we would like to highlight is our Common App follow-up checklist. So another way to support students through the college application process is ensuring students are following up and making sure that all requirements are completed and submitted. Students often mistake that once they hit submit online, they're done. This checklist can help students get through senioritis and meet those deadlines. Letting students know colleges will communicate missing items or perhaps their acceptance via email can encourage them to check their emails daily. In each module in the Texas OnCourse Academy, we've generated a number of resources, including the infographics and handouts that you can print and hang up in your office or hand out to students directly. You can find these resources throughout each module, but we also have the resources from the modules we're discussing today available for you to download on our Pinterest. Here is a snapshot of the Pinterest boards for each college application system and the resources. You can access these boards by visiting www.pinterest.com/Texas OnCourse. And now I'll turn it over to David to share some ApplyTexas updates.
Good morning. We didn't have any real major changes. I think the biggest change this cycle was one of the essay prompts changed, but I'll go over some of the minor changes we had this cycle. First, a brief history. ApplyTexas started in fall 1998 just for freshman applicants as a result of a Senate bill passed by the Texas legislature. We added other application types in fall 2000 and then added 2-year and scholarship in 2007. In 2008, we started development on the counselor suite and released it to a pilot group. And then in fall 2012, we added FAFSA data. For our most recent completed cycle, summer 2018 to spring 2019, we saw a 2.6% increase. We've had steady increases in around that range over the last few completed cycles. Some of the changes we made this year, we're now offering the ability for applicants to opt out of sharing directory information, and that opt-out is found on the certification page right before they submit their application. A lot of four-year institutions were not making use of the test scores module, and so we've made that module optional now. Institutions can now opt out of offering that module to applicants. And so applicants that previously would have seen that module may not see it now, just for some institutions. Those institutions that are offering multiple deadlines for a semester, we're now displaying those deadlines in date order. We found that a lot of applicants were having
we're going to do a quick audio check. David, we lost you. I see that you're on, but I can't hear your audio. I'm going to check with Samantha. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We're going to give David a minute to pop back on, I think.
Sorry about that. I lost connectivity for a second.
That's okay. You're fine.
Sorry about that. Like I said, our biggest change was the essay prompt for SAA used has changed, and I'll share the new. And then we've added some links to FAFSA and test data to both our submission page and email. And then we also, the last few cycles, we've had a lot of applicants have trouble selecting the correct high school code or inputting an incorrect high school code. And so we've strengthened some of our audits when they go and select which high school they attended and plan to graduate from. and we hope to see a decrease in those selection errors. And we hope that's really going to help, especially with the high school counselor suite, get some of those applicants tied to the correct school more appropriately. I won't read through this, but this is the directory information opt-out that we've now added to the certification page. And then this is the new essay prompt A, tell us your story. What unique opportunities or challenges have you experienced throughout your high school career that have shaped who you are today? And then these are some of the links that we've added to the submission page and the email. FAFSA, SAT, and ACT. And that's all I've got. I should also add that that new essay prompt is only for the 2019-2021 cycle. So summer, if they're applying to summer 2020, 2020-2021, if they're applying to summer 2020, fall 2020, or spring 2021, that's when that new essay prompt will apply. And we open July 1st. A lot of our institutions open then, and quite a few just opened August 1st. And then I've also included two of our email boxes. The first is our general help box that we offer for applicants. The second, ApplyTexas HSC. That's geared more towards high school counselors, those that are interested in using the counselor suite or that are currently users of the counselor suite. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
All right, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what you can expect to see with the new Common App. As Laura mentioned, you are going to see some new colors and a new visual identity. So it actually looks a little bit like Texas OnCourse colors. But if you want to go ahead to the next slide. Again, always starting with our mission statement. So Common App is a not-for-profit membership organization committed to access, equity, and integrity in the college admission process. Common App has actually been around for over 40 years. It started in 1941 with 15 institutions, member institutions, and now has grown to just under 900 colleges in our 40-year membership or lifespan. So we're just at 897 member institutions for this 1920 application cycle. Just over 200 of those are public institutions. We are in all 50 states, plus DC and Puerto Rico. The Common App is also abroad. So for students who are looking for a school where they want to pursue a bachelor's degree outside of the US, they can find 63 international member institutions in 19 countries outside of the US. One thing that I'd also like to note here for those that may not be aware is that the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation joined as a member affiliate this past year so that they have their scholarship application on the Common App. So students who are doing their college applications are also able to add the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation if they want to apply for that scholarship as well. And then Common App is free to use for students. They can access it at any time with our account rollover feature so that they can create an account at any time and their information can roll over from year to year. They do not have to wait until senior year. Free to use, over 400 members, as you can see here, have no application fee. And then for those that do charge an application fee, there is a streamlined application fee waiver request process for any student that has a demonstrated financial need. So again, if you think about, we started at 15 schools, now at 897. Obviously, every year there are new member schools that are joining the membership. And so this year, as in years past, we have a little over 70, I think it's approaching 80 now, of new member schools for the 1920 cycle. Those schools are coming from 30 different states. We're very excited that the University of North Dakota has joined because that was the one state that Common App did not have a member institution in, and now we can officially say that we are in all 50 states. You'll also notice on the right, that's a list of some of the public schools that have joined, though not all, but you will see that UT Dallas and UT Arlington are joining the Common App this cycle. And here you can see then, where there's overlap between ApplyTexas and Common App for the schools that are specifically in Texas that are also on the Common App. Here are those 16 schools. And you can also go to commonapp.org and either go there and then search for schools, or if you go to commonapp.org/explore, if you type in TX to search by state, you would get this list of schools, and you can actually print out the list if you wanted to have a printed copy. So just in terms of what we saw last year with volume in the Common App, on the first year side, because we have the first year application as well as the transfer application, we had over 2 million accounts created, so 2 million students in the system, 1 million students who submitted at least one application using the Common App, and those 1 million students submitted 5.3 million applications. Now on the transfer side, transfer is about 10% of our volume, and so obviously a lot smaller, 372,000 students in there creating transfer accounts, 103 unique transfer applicants, and those students submitted just over 200,000 applications. On the recommender side, there are a lot of adults, as you know, who are supporting students through the application process. So on the first year side, we had 652,000 counselors, teachers, and other recommenders who were submitting forms and letters of recommendation on behalf of students. Those recommenders submitted 27 million forms. When you think about the initial school report, the transcript, the mid-year reports, the letters of recommendation, all of that together was 27 million forms. And then again on transfer, much smaller volume, 98,000 recommenders submitting 256,000 forms. Another piece that I think not a lot of people know is that Common Application joined forces with Reach Higher in January of 2019. For those who are not familiar, Reach Higher was an initiative that Michelle Obama started while the Obamas were in the White House. And it was really to help underrepresented students feel empowered about the possibilities of post-secondary education, whether that's a 2-year institution, a 4-year institution, a credential, military service, but giving them a place to celebrate and find resources related to going to college. And so these are the different campaigns that fall under Reach Higher. So Better Make Room, up next, the School Counselor of the Year celebration, around May 1st, a College Signing Day celebration, and a Beating the Odds Summer Summit. These all fall under Reach Higher, and the Reach Higher team now sits here at our Common App office. It's been really exciting because they joined in January, which was right before the School Counselor of the Year celebration, and then the big event at UCLA for College Signing Day. And then just a few weeks ago, Mrs. Obama hosted a Beating the Odds summit with students at Howard University. And so we are very excited to have their team here. We started doing work together in terms of some texting campaigns to reach out to students, and we'll continue to work together. Know that each of these, particularly like College Signing Day and Beating the Odds, there are toolkits out there for counselors, and institutions to access if you are interested in doing any type of event locally, whether it's at your school or within your community. There are toolkits that you can access that the Reach Higher team has put together to help you with that. So this is the new commonapp.org landing page with the new visual identity. We really wanted it to be more inclusive of the students that we're serving. So, you know, we put a lot of time into supporting first-year applicants, so students coming out from high school going direct to college. But we serve, again, with the transfer application and with non-traditional students, returning adult learners, veterans. We really have done a lot of expansion on the website to put more resources out there and be more inclusive for all students, regardless of where they are on their educational journey. So one of the things I think is really neat is the new Explore Colleges part of the website. There are a lot more filters out there if you're looking for schools. So of course you can go here to look at what schools accept the Common App. But you can also, now there's a filter for who offers merit-based aid, who doesn't charge an application fee, who will accept self-reported test scores. There's also a map view that didn't exist before, so you can actually see, okay, where in the state is this institution actually located? What city is it near? And then also you can even print the list of schools. So if you are sitting with a student and doing a search and it comes up with a result of 12 schools, you can then hit print search results. You immediately have the list of schools to hand to that student. So really neat. You know, I definitely recommend just going out there and playing around with it because I think it's a really great enhancement. Another enhancement on the commonapp.org website is that our member institutions have really built out their profile information. So it used to just be kind of very generic with, you know, one image and a little, you know, sentence or two. Now our member colleges have embraced this. They're putting different tags on there. And then so with the tag, you know, you or a student can actually, again, in this example, let's say it offers need-based aid. If you clicked on that tag, it would then show you other institutions that have also put that tag on there. They can highlight their academic programs. Institutions have LinkedIn, YouVisit virtual tours. They have image galleries. So it really gives the applicant more information about the type of institution and if they see this as a potential fit for them. Then there's the plan part of the website, and this is where you can really get some good content and resources and checklists. This is where you can find new application guides. So there's actually a full first-year application guide, so a student can go and look at the guide and get more information about what do I need to know about filling out the activities section of the application. They can get that. There's also a lot more, again, resources and a transfer application guide, something that we never had in the past. Just being very intentional about having more information for community college students, again, active military, veterans, returning adult learners, giving them a place and letting them know that they are also welcome and wanted by our member institutions. So I'm not going to get into like all the nitty-gritty of the application, but I will of what's changed for 1920. But I will say that the big drivers were these four things you see here. So modernization, accessibility, mobile responsiveness, and then incorporating the new branding into it. On the right-hand side, the improved workflows, this is where, these are some of the changes. So if you have been familiar with using the system in the past, we've tried to simplify how a student does the college search within the application. We have made it simpler for the address lookup and high school lookup, similar to what David was saying, so that to minimize errors, so that students know that they have selected their correct home address or that they've selected their correct high school that they've attended. We've also made some language updates to the activities section to really call out family responsibilities and community engagement, and that was in response to working with the Making Caring Common project and the Turning the Tide reports, and letting students know that, again, schools are looking for information about a student beyond just traditional clubs and sports and activities. If you hadn't heard, criminal history has been removed from the common portion of the application. So students are no longer asked that on the common part of the application. It is up to individual member institutions. If they have a policy or want to ask that question, then the individual school will ask that question of a student. This also means then that criminal history is no longer on any school report that a counselor has to fill out. Now, that is criminal history. School discipline is still on the common part of the application as well as on the counselor forms. And then just some minor changes with recommenders and FERPA to make it clearer for students, just some minor language tweaks, as well as separating out managing recommenders versus inviting them. If you can click one more. So this is what the application now looks like. So again, has the new visual identity with the new color palette. This is part of where the modernization comes in. So the functioning of it is still the same. The sections are still the same, but there's just some, a lot of cleanup that has happened with the new application. And then on the right is what you would see if you were using a mobile device. So we know that students are moving between devices. So they might be on a tablet for part of it. They might be on a laptop. They might be on a desktop. They could be on their mobile. And so we have taken that into consideration as we have redesigned the application so that the experience for the user is easier with the flow and not so much of pinching and zooming, but that it really just adjusts to whatever size device they're working on. Essay prompts, people always want to know what's changed. So for Common App, nothing changed. Students still have access to the same 7 essay prompts, including topic of your choice, if that is one that they choose. This is the breakdown you can see here for this past year's cycle. Also just wanted to comment that Common App does have integration with Google Drive. So for parts that are where there's an upload capability or the ability to grab text for a long answer, students do see a little Google Drive icon where they can go out and grab content. So on the submission screen for a student, when they're through with all of their Common App part, they're at the specific college they're going to submit their application to, we've now broken out to make it clearer if something is missing from their application. Instead of just saying, you have something incomplete with your Common App, now we can actually say, actually, you have not completed the family section, or you've not completed the education section. So, and then a link so the student can get directly there to answer whatever required question they missed. You can click one more. We've also moved the essay to the review and submit screen. So again, some of our members require it, some don't, but for even the schools that do not require it, students still have the option of uploading it. So that has been moved. And then paid not submitted. So again, with the steps, you can see here the 1, 2, 3 at the top. Students do make the payment first before they submit. And you can imagine some students pay, but then never actually hit the submit button. But we have put an alert there letting students know so that they don't get caught in that. And this is what students see. They get a nice screen of flowing confetti when they actually hit submit, so they know for sure that they have submitted. This was part of the the rebrand, which we didn't get too much into, but one of the words that we are really trying to emphasize is making the application process more joyful. And so we wanted to celebrate with students when they actually submit an application. And students even have access to a celebrate button. So even though they see the confetti one time, they can keep clicking on celebrate and they can keep throwing confetti. For you in terms of tools, just a reminder that students, they invite their one counselor to do their transcript upload and a letter of recommendation and the school report forms. But students can also invite advisors, so community-based organization advisors or parents or the college advisors that are on campus with students. They can be invited as advisors to help with tracking a student's application progress. This is what the dashboard looks like for whether it's a counselor or advisor when they're looking at the application status versus form status. So this just lets them know how far a student has gotten with each section of the application. And then students have that ability to turn on or off application preview so they can share the full Common App with counselors and advisors, as well as when a counselor or advisor clicks on the little red college list icon, they get the full details for all of the colleges that a student is applying to. Another piece, just so that you're aware, so you may be familiar, some of you may be at schools using Navient. Historically, Common App has had an integration with Navient as well as with Parchment. But this past year, we announced that we would be expanding our integration services beyond those two partners. And so starting this year, so August 2019, we now are also integrated with these additional 4 partners, so BridgeU, Cialfo, FolderWave, and Maya Learning. And so we're going to be now supporting students, for counselors who are using different college software platforms. We have this ability to also allow them to submit their school forms, letters of recommendation from one of these other partners. And then I just wanted to, before I transition it over to Will on tips and best practices, in terms of Common App, if you don't have a practice applicant account, that's just a great way to really know the system. When you go to commonapp.org and click apply, it'll ask you, if you're a student or an education professional. And when you click education professional, it just creates a practice account for you so you can see and do everything that student does. Just really helps with you understanding how to navigate it so you can inform your students. If you're a school counselor or you are not the school counselor but you're supporting the student, consider using that advisor role and the ability to use application preview so that you can see a student's responses on the application. Our YouTube channel has a lot of video tutorials out there that are just really quick snapshots of here's again what you need to know about doing recommenders in FERPA or the FERPA release or filling out a certain section of the application. Our new website has so much content, just playing around there. It also has links to our blog there where we have the updates. The monthly newsletter is a great way to stay connected. So you can sign up for that by just going to commonapp.org and then the counselors and recommenders section. Common App Ready, which we haven't really spent time on today, but that's just a way for you to get actual downloadable resources. So information about what students, if you wanted a handout for a parent night or you're going into classrooms, that's all in Common App Ready. And then again, we're on social media and we're available 24/7, 365 with support.
Great.
Thanks, and I'm going to pass it over.
So good morning again. I'm going to talk to you guys about campus best level practices and what we do at Kingwood High School. You've heard some great information from Common App and ApplyTexas. And really as high school counselors, our job is to get the message out to students and families about how you navigate the college process or forming a plan after high school. And high school counselors, we get the best of both worlds. We start with the students and develop a high school plan, and we help the students apply to college at the end and really see the finished product. And this is a really exciting time for students as they're applying to college and their goals before posting or posting their education are coming to fruition, and helping them guide them through that. So to get the message out, we have almost 3,000 students. So how, as a school counselor, do you effectively get the message out? Well, it's not just the counselors, it's the students, it's the parents, it's community, not-for-profits, Boys and Girls Club, all together helping students through this process. We use guidance lessons, college nights, college application workshops, and we have a college room. So those are our main ways of getting the message out to students. So we have 4 opportunities as counselors at my school to go into classrooms and do what we call guidance lessons. So I'm talking to students about certain topics. So in 12th grade, the first guidance lesson we do is college applications. It's a refresher. You should have been applying to college already, and we speak to them in 11th grade at the end of the year about introducing college applications, the information, what you need to be doing over the summer in order to get ready to apply. And then we come back at the start of 12th grade, do a refresher, talk about if they need letters of recommendation, how they go about doing that, from a teacher or a counselor, sending, their official transcript. At our school, the registrar sends the official transcripts, although Common App, the counselor gets an email, and we do that with Common App. And then in 10th and 11th grade, in April, usually, we have a college night for students and parents paired with a college fair. So just getting out the information, bringing colleges to the school. And we have a college application workshop for students every spring. The great thing about college application workshops is that students work on college applications and they can get their questions answered in real time from an expert from the college. So this is a great way to ensure that students don't, stumble and not finish their college application because they have questions and they have to circle back with someone when someone is there. And I can see the effectiveness of the college application workshop with the number of questions that the representatives answer students in real time. So that's been really effective. Another thing that's really effective, and we get our parents involved, we have a parent that is in charge of our college room. And we have at lunch every day during the school year, our students can go to our college room and they can do college exploration, testing questions. Any questions that they have pertaining to college, they can go to our college room. So at our school, we do not have a counselor that is specifically works with college and career. We do everything. So we use a number of staff members and parent volunteers to help, spread the message of applying to colleges. So we have an assistant principal that one of her assigned duties is to be over the college parent nights that we have, the college fairs, all of the testing and the AP testing for college credit. And she's over the college room as well. We have one teacher that's designated to be the contact person for if a college wants to come to our school to speak with students. So we send all questions about wanting to speak with the students at our school to that teacher. And our parents are involved. Parents are great to involve because some of them have had a number of kids go through college already. So they've been through the process and they can talk to other parents and students about what they've learned in that process. So we have 2 parents and their experience, and they train other parents who volunteer to staff our college room at lunch. And counselors are a big part of success for college. We know that if a student talks to their high school counselor, they're more likely to apply and attend college. So like I said before, we do guidance lessons. We present at college night a lot of the information that you've just heard from ApplyTexas and Common App. And actually last year, I used this webinar to, I used some of the slides in my college night. So it was great. So I thank Texas OnCourse for having this out here. And I don't have to travel to where Common App or ApplyTexas is located, it's right here in the webinar, so very convenient. Letters of recommendation, we're happy to do that for students. We're happy to send transcripts for students that apply through Common App and send EDU. They just put in our email address, and it's really convenient. So thank you for Common App for making it easy for counselors to do our part in that process. We attend college updates. Colleges invite counselors, and they tell us about updates with schools and give us information, give us really good materials to bring back to share with students and families. And ApplyTexas and other schools, we send students to our registrar to send official transcripts, but I know other schools, they do it through Naviance. So however your school sends official transcripts, there's just a process that needs to be definitely clear to students, because that's very important. Okay, so this is a college planning overview that I'd like to share with the students, and it kind of gives them where they should be in the process. So the first part is exploring colleges and building your college list. And this is really, it really starts with exploring college and career. What do I want to do as a career? Is college the best way to go about doing this? If so, what types of colleges am I interested in? The best way to do this is really online research. It shows what majors are offered at the college, what's the admissions requirements, is it a big school, small school? Taking a college visit, there's no better way of getting a feel for a college and exploring college than actually going to the college and seeing the environment. And in Texas, 2 school days are excused for students to go to a college visit, and it doesn't count against the students' attendance. So the state of Texas is really partnering with schools to encourage students to visit college. They get 2 days in 11th grade and 2 days in 12th grade. So we tell students that if they need to do this, if it's related to college, they can do a college visit. College fairs are great because you have a number of colleges in one area, and they send their representatives and they have information, and you can, bounce around as a student and parent and get a lot of questions answered by someone in person, and even, get invited to a college visit and et cetera. Talked about online research. Our college room is great. They help with exploration, any questions that students have. And it's definitely advantageous to have one place where it's definitely designated toward college and after high school. And again, speaking with the counselor is advantageous for the student. We can point them in the right direction and give a lot of knowledge as well. So most four-year universities, you have to, they require an ACT or SAT score. And these SAT and SAT, or ACT and SAT are getting really good at doing pre-tests. So 9th and 10th grade, there's a pre-ACT, SAT. So retest, get familiar with the score. There's personalized test prep when they do the practice test. And then really in 11th grade, they should be starting their first actual ACT and SAT, and they can, students should retest. Scores often improve in the second try. Strengthen the college list. So after you've taken your visits, you've got an idea, you've got your class rank and your grade point average after 11th grade, you've got your ACT score. Use this information to, narrow down the college list, have some safe schools where I know I can get in, some reach schools where it may be a reach, but, I'm still going to apply to those schools, and just, differentiate the list. There's so many different colleges out there, and just use that information, or use your research and your due diligence to strengthen that list. And then, as our seniors are doing right now, they're applying to colleges. So the summer heading into senior year, get ready and apply for colleges, and scholarship research and scholarship application should be something that's always ongoing as well. Okay, so some tips for college applications. Start early. Most applications open by July 31st. That doesn't mean you get to work on your essay on July 31st. We tell students you can start over the summer working on the essay and some of these other materials in their resume. research colleges, their requirements, programs of study, application fees, and there are application fee waivers as well, so you need to research that. A lot of materials to gather when filling out a college application. So if a student is able to get all of these things, and you don't want, you want to think of all of their activities, all volunteer work, all honors and awards. So this shouldn't be something that's just done while I'm going through the application. You should really know. We encourage students to research, and so they have the best college application forward.
Okay, I just want to say many, many thanks to our guest speakers, Samantha from our team, David from ApplyTexas, Meredith from the Common App, great updates, and also Will for your best practices. I just want to close out on a couple of additional things we have from one other fellow, Lynn Hartnett from Corpus Christi ISD, and then we'll open it up to questions. Lynn just provided, we like to ask our fellows on best practices and practitioners for these. And so she just had a few things to share. I'll just go through them really quickly. Just when you're doing applications with students on ApplyTexas or Common App, definitely have your English language arts teachers assign ApplyTexas at least the profile and or Common App as a summer project, because students should review and even create a profile and create a resume, which is something that they can keep throughout the whole college application process, and then know whether or not they qualify for a fee waiver and how to use and access those, and then review the essay topics and create and save at least one essay. We've had some great updates on those essays and the topics, and often that can be a real hurdle for students that struggle with writing or just procrastinate because they may not want to get in the application, do the essay when it's required for an application. So just two more quick pieces of advice from one of our fellows. Student advice. Do your research. You should be aware some applications have the scholarship application embedded into the application, and for others it is separate. And that is really on a case-by-case basis by the institution. So that's really important for students and families to know when they're working on these. And then the last one is check carefully for mistakes. Leaving out important information like your social security number or important pieces of data will cause a lot of problems down the road, and it's something that has to be unraveled because a lot of these are used for many institutions. So that was just some really great best practices and updates from everyone involved. So thank you all so much. I'm going to open it up to right now. We have just about 6 minutes left until we finish the hour to see if you have any questions. Any attendees, go ahead and type those in the chat box, and Rose Fretza can talk about what those are out loud. For any questions for our guest speakers, you can go ahead and type those. So while you all are thinking about any potential questions you may have, I'm going to quickly go over the rest of our webinar schedule. I do see one question. Sarah Simmons, did you have a question? So Sarah's question is, for ApplyTexas, will the opt-out of directory info cause the info in Counselor Suite to change?
No, it won't. It won't have any effect on the Counselor Suite, at least as of right now. The directory info opt-out specifically relates to the information the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has. And opting out of that means that they won't share it with certain entities.
Great, thank you, David.
We actually do have another question from Lynn Hartnett. She said, on the Common App, I could not find an activities section instruction sheet. Is there a specific resource or handout on that?
So that's a great question. So one I would say is on the YouTube channel, there's the video tutorial for the activities section. And then in our Common App Ready suite of materials, so commonapp.org/ready, we are currently finalizing some additional resources. And so there is an activities worksheet that's slated to go live on Common App Ready. So I would imagine that that would be out there probably by the end of August.
Great, thank you, Meredith. Okay, so I don't see any other questions right now, but we can keep these open. I'm just gonna quickly mention, these are our webinars. Our monthly webinars are on the first Tuesday of each month at 10 a.m. And we've also included some middle school topics here in our schedule. So we'll talk about the family guide in September, and then this is our schedule through June. With that, if there are no more questions, I want to once again thank everyone for attending. Thank you to our guest speakers. If you've hopped on with us or if you registered for it, you'll receive the recording and some highlights from the webinar. So thank you all so much and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.